2025,
new kernels, a plentiful harvest
before
of
Charlie
new
Kirk was
lives.
assassinated. So,
Those who love their life in this world
screenshotting
will
that
lose
again.
it. Those who care nothing for their life in this world will keep it for eternity. I'm here to tell you, before I dive into the second prophecy. Israel just made history. In the midst of negotiations at the UN, where over 100 nations are plotting to give away huge swaths of land to Israel's enemies, Israel just opened up a project they have been working on for over a decade. The historic pilgrimage road, the one leading up from the Siloam pool up through the city of David to the Temple Mount, that road, the one that the prophets and authors of the Bible and Jesus himself walked on, is now open. There is so much to get into, including incredible remarks from Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Ambassador Mike Huckabee. But first, I want to play this video for some context as to what this road actually is. Much to get into, including working on for over a decade. The historic pilgrimage road, the one leading up from the Siloam pool up through the city of David to the Temple Mount, that road, the one that the prophets and authors of the Bible and Jesus himself walked on, is now open. There is so much to get into, including incredible remarks from Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, and Ambassador Mike Huckabee. But first, I want to play this video for some context as to what this road actually is.
This road is very special. It brought people together. It was a journey of a lifetime.
Hold on a second.
This was the last part of a fantastic journey, a memorable journey. In fact, a journey that would never be forgotten. Of families, people, children, elder people. They gathered in small towns and villages. They came together and then they began their long trek in convoys up the main roads to Jerusalem. The last lap, the last 600 meters of this journey took place in the
That's what I was going to do.
that we are excavating now.
What? Oh, weird.
People who used to come here and walk from the pilgrimage through the pilgrimage road all the way up to the Temple Mount. People from all over the world.
החוף הזה, הדרך הזה שאנחנו עכשיו דורכים עליו, זה בעצם 600 מטר החשובים ביותר בחיים הרוחניים של עם ישראל.
They have people walking here from all over the world, and they have one thing in common: the passion for Jerusalem, the passion for this project. They want everyone to be part of it, to feel every day. I'm walking on the steps of my ancestors.
Literally, walking in their footsteps and touching history.
So, as you can see, the excavation of this road has been happening for quite some time now, and the city of David have been quietly doing private tours up the road. I've had the privilege of being on those tours, and it is absolutely incredible. But just now, for the first time, this road is opening to the public. The guys at the city of David put on a beautiful ceremony where they let Bibi and Marco Rubio chisel through the last bit of rock to officially open the road. Then Bibi made some powerful remarks, and I want to play some of those here because what he says is really profound.
In 1998, I hosted the Prime Minister of Turkey, and I said, Prime Minister, I have a favor to ask. And he said, yes, go ahead. And I said, there is a tablet, stone tablet, in Hebrew, that was found in the tunnel that we have just, it's right here, that was dug 2,700 years ago by King Hezekiah. That's 300 years after King David. And it marks the place where two teams of diggers met, just as was described here, two teams of archaeological workers. They put this tablet in Hebrew, the Bible speaking to us, because that channel, the digging of that channel is described in the Bible. And here we see that in biblical Hebrew, perhaps except the Dead Sea Scrolls, the most important archaeological discovery in Israel. And I said, look, I have a proposal for you. You know, we have thousands of Ottoman artifacts in our museum. Choose any one you want. You can get it. It's yours. Let's do an exchange. He said, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And I said, why? He said, well, there is a growing Islamist constituency. There would be outrage from this section of Turkish people that we would give Israel a tablet that would show that Jerusalem was a Jewish city 2,700 years ago. Well, it was a Jewish city 3,000 years ago. Here, right next to these stones, and on these pavements, the prophets of Israel prophesied, the kings of Israel walked, the pilgrims came, and some of the most poetic psalms and prophecies and proverbs in the history of humanity were written, inspiring not only our people, but all of humanity. And this continued for 1,000 years into the time of Jesus, a Jewish rabbi from the Galilee who came here to Jerusalem, the Holy of Holies. He came here.
So why is Israel doing this now? At first glance, it could seem like this is a really bad time to do something like this. With the conflict in the UN, the new Gaza offensive, anti-Semitism sweeping the West, etc. It could seem like this would be a little bit of a low priority initiative for Israel, but then again, maybe not. This pilgrimage road is a massive link in a long chain that proves definitively that Israel has a right to this land. The anti-Semitism that says Israel doesn't have a right to exist, well, this road says that they do. Hamas fighting a war to create a Palestinian state, well, this road says that it...
Hold on. Do Jewish people and Native American people get along? My book they do, yes, in many. Yeah. Both Jewish people and many Native American tribes have experienced forced removal from their ancestral lands, making the story of a people returning to their homeland resonate deeply with Native communities and fostering a sense of common ground. Jewish history and the Native American experience have some.
Israel was sovereign here long before the word Palestine was even coined. It's like this patch some friends of ours created. At first glance, the word Mashiach or Messiah in English could seem out of place on IDF uniforms in Gaza, but yet again, maybe not. This whole conflict between Israel and the Muslim war isn't a land dispute like...
Ladies and gentlemen, this video is being recorded in July of 2025. And at the time of making this video, there is a bot on chess.com that is terrorizing chess players everywhere, including me. I played it multiple times, I got embarrassed, it destroyed me. It's called Mecha Chesszilla, paying homage, I imagine, to Godzilla. Now, what I always do when a bot destroys me is I call up my older brother to come and beat it up.
I love him.
And that's what I did today. I brought out in Stockfish, and I'm about to show you two games. The second game in particular might be the greatest chess game ever played. That is not hyperbole. Please watch these two games. If there's ever a video of mine you watch from start to finish, this might be it. These were two of the most impressive chess games I have ever seen. And I cover a lot of chess. I cover top players, I cover AI. The first game was just ruthless. I mean, the first game was ripping the heart out of Iron Man style. The second game was perfect. So, first game, Mecha Chessilla with the white pieces. Again, I'm not just throwing the Japanese flag on there. That is the flag that it's got on chess.com. Mecha opened up with the move knight to f3. Stockfish queen d5, just putting a pawn in the center of the board. Again, first game is like a little appetizer, just absolutely ruthless pummeling of the opponent. I am telling you, the second game is the most perfect game of chess I've ever seen in my life. G3. White is playing a ready, black plays bishop g4. There are many setups against the ready. This is one of my favorites. Developing the light square bishop, and then, you know, putting up the pawns like this. That's exactly what Stockfish does. Now, white has several choices. The best move is pawn to h3, and then trying to attack the center with these two pawns, but Mecha plays knight to b5, attacking this bishop right away. We have bishop here. Stockfish doesn't waste any time, immediately opting to trade. Now, what's funny about this game is that white got a worse position after just 6 moves. Right? Mecha doesn't know it's playing Stockfish. It trades the knight, which is just a bad decision. If you're going to move a piece 3 times in the opening and then just remove it from the board completely, it's like it never existed in the first place. So now white doesn't have anything to show for this position. And now, you know, white castles, but it's actually black who is doing very comfortably. Now, one thing Stockfish does, and a lot of great also human players do, is they break a lot of opening principles. For example, if I asked you, in this position, make 3 moves in a row for black, you would say, I don't even know how the knight moves. I just like watching your videos, funny goatee man, because you say funny things about the board. Actually, a lot of people watch these videos and they don't even play chess, which is kind of cool. Knight here, bishop here, and castle. Because, like, that's what you learn. You learn develop the pieces and castle, right? Maybe some of you would castle this way. Okay, fine. Well, Stockfish plays bishop d6, which in and of itself is not an impressive move, because you're gonna, you know, it's obviously going to...
It's fair to say, a lot of us watch your videos because you're Jewish. And we love you. We love y'all. ground that I am walking on. When it gets cold outside and you got nobody to love. Whoa, whoa. Ah. You understand what I mean when I say there's no way we're gonna give up. Fucking song.
To just castle, right? Well, Mecca attacks on this diagonal with this powerful bishop in many different openings, like the Catalan, like this one in particular, the ready. There is this light square bishop. Black plays c6.
What the fuck is wrong with this
Creating a
goddamn?
little pyramid of pawns. And now Stockfish begins breaking the principles. It plays knight to e7. Knight to e7 is a weird move. Knight to e7 does not fight for the center. Normally you put the knight out on f6. So why is the knight here? Why would Stockfish go for this setup? It's tough to explain. I'm going to try to explain it in a way that everybody from 100 elo to 2100 elo, because nobody above that watches these videos because they think they're too good for them somehow, like people graduate from the channel, as if this is not the most amazing chess community anywhere in the world, digital.
I know, right?
All that to say, because White castled and committed their pieces earlier than Black, Black was able to take an unorthodox setup, and provided that Black has done the necessary analysis and calculation of the position, Black is able to play in a way that doesn't follow traditional chess principles, provided you are still making sound and solid moves. And that's what Black is doing. Black's playing slightly unorthodox setup, but still fighting for the center. And because Black has not committed the king, and White has committed the king, Black has more opportunities to create an attack. It's one little secret, by the way, you can add to your game. Castling a little later than your opponent. Because as you are about to see, Stockfish is about to not castle and play an absolutely unbelievable attack. c5 is not a good move at bot level. It's not a good move because it totally locks the center. When the center is completely locked, it is much easier to create an attack. If you try to attack your opponent and the center can just be like ripped apart, it will be a lot harder. But this is rock solid. Knight to f3, and after the next move, I realized immediately White was going to lose in 10 moves. f6. When Stockfish plays like this, putting all the pawns out like this, covering all of the squares, not allowing anything to come forward, what it's doing, it's completely neutralizing you before it launches an offensive. And somehow, White just doesn't have anything. White's only plan here would be to attack this side of the board because that is where they have a space advantage, and sort of hope Black doesn't generate the play down this way. Now, like I said, the first game is impressive. The second game is stuff of legend. b4. And Stockfish is like, you want to attack me? g5. And as I said, taking an unorthodox setup in a chess game with pawns and pieces while also not castling, if you can successfully leave the king in the center or delay castling enough that you end up going the opposite direction at the right moment, it is a very, very effective skill. Stockfish is just going to try to push all of its pawns, and White doesn't have the opportunity to open up the center. White plays bishop to b2. That's not a move that's going to help much. Here, Black has a choice. You can take the knight and then just kind of launch this pawn. Stockfish just goes here. It's like, I don't want to give up the bishop just yet. I don't want to give it up. I want to bait White into moving the pawns in front of the king to kick me out. Otherwise, I'm just coming in. Now, again, look at the position, right? How many sides have traded pawns? How many pawns have been traded? Are you paying attention? Hey, lock in. Look at the screen. How many pawns have been traded? Correct. The answer is 0. You know how to count. Very good. Now, within about 10 to 15 moves, this entire position will vanish. Like, all the pieces are going to be gone. The king is going to be wide open. Watch this. Bishop f5. And the ending of this game is so ruthless. h5. All the pawns are there. Now, White has one of two things. White can either counterattack, White can try to defend, White can pray to the chess gods, who are Stockfish, so that's probably not going to work out. h4. And again, a huge mistake here for Black would be, a lot of you would go, I'm going to push the pawn attack in the knight. That's a good move, right, Peter? It's by Joe Swanson. Yeah, not a good move, no. You want these pawns to open. You don't want to lock the position. So knight g6, you do not care that there is a pawn to be lost here, like the Mike Tomlin famous clip of the interview. We got a lot of references on this channel, by the way. A lot of sports, media. You know, we're cultured. Yeah, we do not care. We're going to play pawn to h4, open it all up. Knight d2, and now, yeah, pawn takes h4. bishop goes here. Just watch as Stockfish rips apart the position. H4, absolutely ruthless. There is a king in the middle of the board here, and one of the most gangster moments ever happens in this game. Mecha launches a counterattack with rook takes f6. Stockfish just takes the pawn on g3, giving up the knight for absolutely nothing. The reason why you can't even take this knight is because queen to f7 comes in with a fork on the rook and a square. And it's not just any square, that's literally checkmate because the rook on h8 cuts the king off on the h-file. Queen f7 would win you the rook, and a few moves later win you the game. Which is why in this, on the h-file, queen f7 would win you the rook, and a few moves later win you the game. Which is why in this position, Mecha Chesszilla plays pawn to e5, defending the rook, locking out the bishop. But Stockfish looks at Mecha and says, "You think I'm locked in here with you? You are locked in here with me." Bishop to f5 comes back, locking the rook in jail. White takes the pawn on g3. Notice how every pawn is gone. Long castle. The rooks like cannons on the G and H file coming in. You're going to win this knight and bishop, by the way. 2 pieces for the rook. 2 pieces for the rook is a good deal. Not when your king is standing with no clothes on, covering his private parts with a piece of tree bark like in the cartoons. This is not going to work. Rook g8. Queen to d3. Queen g7. Queen g7 is a really, really ruthless move. You know why? You're going to get the queen to go defend the bishop. And the second it does, it steps off of this diagonal. So you go here, and now you're threatening on the h-file as well. And then we got to end things in style. We sacrifice the rook. We bring the queen with the rook. By the way, what black is playing down two pieces, basically. The bishop's not doing anything, but it's over. We get in. But the conclusion of this game, the way Stockfish actually beats its opponents, is so brutal. It plays queen c2. Watch this. It brings the bishop to g5. And it is a sadist. Because here, it just moves the king. And the reason why it can afford to do this is white cannot move any of these pieces. And then it realizes white cannot move any of the pieces. White doesn't have a move. It just moves the king around until white runs out of turns. You look like you can go king e1, but then I go here, and you run out of moves again because I have mate like bishop to h4. So Mecha has to now give up material in order to make moves. And slowly we convert. We don't even take the rook. There is a hanging rook. It's not even taking the rook. And now, watch how it checkmates its opponent.
Damn.
I was like, oh, it's got to make a queen. It's got to bring in the king. It just gives away the... Because now white doesn't have a move. And the king is forced off the plank. Mate. I was like, oh my god! It is so crazy to watch this thing play chess. Now you think that's impressive. I told you at the beginning, some people left. Some people don't watch the video longer than like 7 minutes, which is insane to me. Insane that you don't have the attention span for that. You're about to be rewarded. If you're still here, what I'm about to show you, like you thought this was impressive. I was watching this game unfold. I was toggling the moves. I was gasping. This game featured a sequence of around 20 moves in a row that just solved the game. Watch. C4, the English opening. Black responds knight f6. White puts the bishop on g2. All normal. Now black oftentimes attacks the center. In this game, Mecha didn't, and that's fine. Mecha just developing. Everything was normal. e3, you know, white is just trying to play d4. Black playing a move h6, just preventing stuff from coming to g5. White plays b3 and bishop b2, just developing pieces. Double fianchetto, bishops on the sides. Now, bishop g4. This part I don't understand. I don't know why this move wasn't played immediately. Bishop g4 inducing this and then this. I guess this pawn is a bit of a weakness. I don't know. And now d4. So, okay, nothing impressive so far. Stockfish has developed the knights, the bishops, castled, and played for the center. All these things you can do as well. Now, Every chess game is about finding a way to coordinate your pieces from the opening, come up with a plan, advance into your opponent's position, win material, get to the king. Rook e8, Stockfish trades, and just off of this trade alone, things are now going to become a little more clear. The center is open. White has ideas to put the knight here to open up this bishop. White has ideas to put pressure on this diagonal. White is doing a nice job neutralizing this bishop against these pawns, right? So, knight to h4. Knight h4 attacks the bishop. It wants it to go back, and we're threatening bishop b7, right? Just winning a... Now, the problem with this move is that black has bishop d3, which makes us have to move the rook, and in that time, probably black will, get out of the way, and then try to get the knight in here next. Now begins pure brilliance. Stockfish evaluated taking this pawn was better. Obviously, because there's a hanging rook, so I counterattack the rook. No, that's not the idea. The idea this pawn was better. Now begins, obviously, because there's a hanging rook, so I counterattack the rook. No, that's not the idea. The idea is to simply take back the bishop. And when black moves the rook, to come back here. Stockfish is applying a system I like to call relative value. Pieces are worth something in chess. 3, 5, 9, 1, etc. But not really. As you get better at chess, you realize pieces have a relative value, depending on the position.
Yep.
These are not really 5-point rooks. They're hovering between 4 and 5. Some of these pieces might not be 3-point pieces because they don't have much going on in their life. Meanwhile, the white light squared bishop, which now stands completely unopposed, might be a 3.5-point bishop. The knight might come to f5, putting a lot of pressure on the black position. It might become a 4-point knight. Now, the next 20 moves by white are all logical, all flow together, all build on the previous move, all create weaknesses in the opponent's position, all capitalize on small inaccuracies, all lead to a decisive finish. The next 20 sequence of moves might be some of the most impressive. It's not hyperbole. Just watch how simple it is. Black goes here. Stockfish's game review gives that a dubious move. Doesn't matter. Now, I love how on the next move, it's the top computer move, but the game review gives this move a bad move. Don't pay attention. Rook d1. Simple move. Rook comes to the middle. Black goes rook d8. Computer move, but the game review gives this move a bad move. Don't pay attention. Rook d1. Simple move. Stockfish's game review gives that a dubious move. Doesn't matter. Now, I love how on the next move, it's the top computer move, but the game review gives this move a bad move. Don't pay attention. Rook d1. Simple move. Rook comes to the middle. Black goes rook d8. White goes queen e2. They love you out of... Okay. The idea of queen to e2 is to reposition the queen to the c2 square, so that the e2 square is free for the knight to go to f4. So the knights together pair up, not just on the center, but for a potential kingside attack. From the c2 square, you will reposition the bishop and the queen to create a battery on this diagonal, because in combination with these knights, there's going to be a lot of pressure on black's kingside due to the lack of the dark squared bishop being present. After you reposition your pieces like this, you will then look to infiltrate potentially in the middle as well, bring the king to safety, and use these pawns because the bishop will no longer be pressuring the king. c6. That move fights for the d5 square, but potentially creates a long-term weakness on the d6 square. Because this move has no immediate... After you reposition your pieces like this, you will then look to infiltrate potentially in the middle as well, bring the king to safety, and use these pawns because the bishop will no longer be pressuring the king. c6. That move fights for the d5 square, but potentially creates a long-term weakness on the d6 square. Because this move has no immediate repercussions, we continue with the plan queen to c2, simultaneously defending the square on f5 for our kingside knight to infiltrate and hit potentially 3 spots in the black position. Black responds with pawn to g6. That is a very big commitment anytime you push a pawn in front of your king like this, and you leave things in particular weak. Now there are 2 weaknesses. To sacrifice This maneuver, we have given up dark square weaknesses. Now ideas like f4 are very tasty, which is why in this position, we continue with the plan of knight to e2, playing on this diagonal and putting the knight on the f4 square. Black plays queen e7. We don't really understand the point of that move. It's kind of just trying to generally protect things. So we reposition the knight to the f4 square. Every move flows together. g5 is not a fork because knight f5 is a counterattack. Black has to play a move. Black looks to create counterplay on the queen side to give us something to think about. Stockfish does think about it. It thinks it's stupid. Bishop to a1. You could have just made a battery like this, but with the queen closer to the black pieces. There are ideas like knight d5, knight e4, d5, etc., which is why Stockfish plays bishop a1 and wants the battery to be made like this, where the queen is further away from the counterplay. Black plays bishop to c5, and white plays queen to b2. Literally every move that I have spelled out for you is occurring on the board. Black plays queen c7. I'm still looking around the position wondering, how is white actually going to break through here? Oh, simple. Remember this little maneuver that we did to create some problems? Now we bring it back. Now we have set up this entire battery on the dark squares, and in the long run, with X-ray vision, we have simply a checkmate brewing on the black position. But the point of knight to f3 is not even to put pressure on the knight through here. Oh, simple. Remember this little maneuver that we did to create some problems? Now we bring it back. Now we have set up this entire battery on the dark squares, and in the long run, with X-ray vision, we have simply a checkmate brewing on the black position. But the point of knight to f3 is not... How is white actually going to break through here? Oh, simple. Remember this little maneuver that we did to create some problems? Now we bring it back. Now we have set up this entire battery on the dark squares, and in the long run, with X-ray vision, we have simply a checkmate brewing on the black position. But the point of knight to f3 is not even to put pressure on the knight. The point of knight to f3 is to put the knight back into the middle of the board to put pressure on the c6 pawn, which was weakened some, 7 moves ago. Right, it was brought there, and now we have a knight coming to d4, and we're looking at it. And we have other ideas as well. Like, knight takes c6 is straight up a threat. Because if knight takes queen, like, look. Boom, we win. Why? GG. The battery has worked. So knight d4 attacks this. Black now has to get rid of the bishop. What do we take with? It all looks good. We take with the pawn. Because we need to move the knight out of the center of the board. The knight has moved. The sequence of moves purely of brilliance continue because after all of this effort, we've closed our diagonal, so obviously we need to reopen it. No! We need to target the weakness that black put there also some 7 moves ago to prevent this maneuver. Pawns don't go backwards, so we go queen over to c2. Queen over to c2 creates the threat of the sacrifice. With ideas like pawn takes, queen infiltrates, winning the next pawn, then d5 rips apart the position. Okay, black plays king h7. King h7 defends the pawn on g6, but king h7 is in the line of this queen. So now we play pawn to h4. We have pawn to h5 as a huge threat. The only way to defend the threat is for black to play h5 themselves. You stopped knight g6, you stopped h5, but now you've significantly weakened the g5 square, right? So after you significantly weaken the g5 square, this is what we're going to do. First, we're going to go here. We're going to open up our dark squared bishop from the opposite corner of the board. This is a shining example of why bishops are better than knights. Simply, they can attack from the opposite side of the board. Black plays c5. Black is a move away from consolidating. Remember that plan that we took to weaken g6 and then try to go h4, h5? Well, because you weaken this, now I put my knight on h3. And I'm going knight to g5. I don't care about sacrificing on g6 anymore. I just want to put the knight on g5. And after I put the knight on g5, I'm going to play bishop h3, which is where my knight just was, because I closed down the center for my light squared bishop. What? It has been 15 straight moves of good moves. How is this even possible? Now, it doesn't even stop here. You think, well, every move has been made. No, there is another domino that is ready to fall. It's the blockade. Pawn to f4. If pawn to f4 lands on the board, black's position completely disintegrates.
Crumbles.
So, black knows it's time to do something. You've got to infiltrate on the other side of the board. Now, there's again only one move here that accomplishes anything. Moves like queen b2 are now wrong because the pawn will come in and attack the queen. So instead of that, we put the queen here. That was the wrong square previously, but now there is no counterplay. And from there, we also defend e1, which is very important because there will be a moment. Now, after queen c3, we have queen e7.
Oh, then the knight will just take, okay.
Important, because there will be a moment. Now, after queen c3, we have queen e7. Rook e1. Putting pressure.
Threatening f4.
And now the final piece of the puzzle. Knight to h7. Again, ignore the game review symbol you're about to see. Black is trying to trade up the knight. We want to play pawn to f4, but there are tactics against our king in a lot of different lines. So in this position, we don't take, we don't back up. Again, ignore lines. So in this position, we don't take, we don't back up. Again, ignore this. King g2. This is the best move.
Yeah, it's a good move.
Now knight to f3 is no longer ever a check. If knight takes g5, we simply take. You cannot take because you get forked. Black now tries to come in here. Pawn takes. Rook a. Black is trying. Rook is coming in here. Knight is trying to take. Stockfish's play is so ruthless. Pawn to f4. It has used every pawn in the game. It's now threatening to win material. Knight takes g5, pawn takes g5, rook a2 check, and the same bishop that is helping defend the queen for a checkmate defends the king. It can do two things at the same time. We are now going to take the knight. We are now going to have two bishops for the rook. Black gets desperate. f5. Stockfish has multiple ways to proceed, but Stockfish is a robot of culture. It knows when you see an en passant, you have to play the en passant. Pawn takes f6.
Fuck yeah.
Queen takes f6. Every move has flowed from the previous move. This is next. Black sacks the rook to defend themselves. Plays knight to g4. And if you thought all of this was impressive, we can't take the knight, so we go here. Thought all of this was impressive. White is just impressive. We can't take the knight, so we go here. Thought all of this was impressive. White is just up a pawn. Well, white is totally winning. White is totally winning because it's not about taking this. It's just black's position is falling apart. Black doesn't have any counterplay at all. This pawn is too strong. But come up with a plan. Well, what? Queen takes f6. Every move has flowed from the previous move. This is next. Pawn takes f6. Queen takes f6. Every move has flowed from the previous move. This is next. Black sacks the rook to defend themselves. Plays knight to g4. And if you thought all of this was impressive, we can't take the knight, so we go here. Thought all of this was impressive. White is just up a pawn. Well, white is totally winning. White is totally winning because it's not about taking this. It's just black's position is falling apart. Black doesn't. This was impressive. White is just up a pawn. Well, white is totally winning. White is totally winning because it's not about taking this. It's just black's position is falling apart. Black doesn't have any counterplay at all. This pawn is too strong. But come up with a plan. How do you win this position with white? You can't move the bishop. You can't move the rook. You don't even have a pawn move. On the 45th move of the game, after beginning this unbelievable repositioning process, it has been 30 moves of pure brilliance. And 30 moves later, Stockfish finds the final dagger of a plan. White plays
King f3?
king to h3.
Oh,
The plan is
that's close.
walk in with the king. Black's king cannot get any closer. You will trade off enough pawns to clear out the position, and black will simply lose. Knight to g7, king to h4. You cannot stop the infiltration. Black has to give up the knight to win the bishop, but white is just winning. It's equal pawns, but it's not equal pawns. And in a rook endgame, all you need is two connected pass pawns.
Oh,
Then you
shit.
win, because the king walks up with them, and they shield the king from checks. And that is exactly what Stockfish did. It just marched the pawns up the board, put the rook like this behind the enemy pawn, with ideas to get here, and now this is easy. You just come up with the pawns. Black tries to create some counterplay, you have a two-pawn advantage, pawn to f6, pawn to king to g6, king f7, and this game ends with white promoting to a rook, and then white promoting to a queen.
Damn, that's good.
This might have been the most impressive chess game I've ever seen. I never know what I'm going to get when I pair one of the chess.com bots against Stockfish. I was so impressed. I don't even know what else I can say. For 30 moves of this game, after it calculated that giving up its own rook to a light squared bishop was the right way to go, how it put the rook here, put the queen on the queen side, repositioned the knight, created this battery, hunted down the center, and then the way it went here, h4, d5, put the knight on g5. This is just, oh my goodness. It's so impressive. I'm gonna go try to get inspired by this and go lose a bullet in Blitz game and then never want to play chess again. Stockfish is unbelievable. I hope you enjoyed this video.
Me, bro.
And as always, if you'd like to take your chess to the next level, check out Chessly, my educational platform. Link is in the description. You can start a 7-day free trial and see for yourself. That's all I have for you today. Get out of here.
Good. I love the hell out of that dude. He is so cool. How to win at chess?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you clicked on this video, I've got a very simple message for you. Every single one of you should try to be as strong as possible at the game of chess. And the reason for that is very simple. Absolutely every other person that you interact with will respect you much more. Every other person that you interact with will think that you are an intellectual, a sophisticated form at the game of chess. And the reason for that is very simple. As strong as possible. Gentlemen, if you clicked on this video, I've got a very simple message for you. Every single one of you should try to be as strong as possible at the game of chess. And the reason for that is very simple. Absolutely every other person that you interact with will respect you much more. Every at the game of chess. On this video, I've got a very simple message for you. Every single one of you should try to be as strong as possible at the game of chess. And the reason for that is very simple. Absolutely every other person that you interact with will respect you much more. Every other person that you interact with will think that you are an intellectual, a sophisticated form of human being. Now, none of that is justified, but the game of chess is falsely associated with intelligence. And the lowest form of this intelligence or capability is 100 ELO, the lowest possible form of chess strength that a person can have. And in today's video, I will show you a chess game played between two individuals in the ELO range of 100. But, one caveat. We all have to start somewhere. All of us have started chess at some point, at a certain location on the rating scale. This is a new subscriber by the name of Joe. Everybody say hi, Joe. He
Hi,
didn't hear
Joe.
you, because that's not the way the internet works. But Joe will definitely get a warm, big welcome on this channel. What we do on this channel, what we do in this playlist called How to Lose at Chess, is we break games down. And the point is that we're not laughing at Joe or his opponent. We are looking at a mirror image reflection of ourselves. You see, chess has this way of exposing all of our flaws, of exposing our hubris, our arrogance, our lack of empathy for other people. We all need to look at the mirror and remember, get as strong as possible in chess because everybody will think more highly of you. Shout out to Joe for being brave enough to submit this game. Let's break it down. It is 187 versus 166, and Joe's opponent from Austria, named 16T, has like a James Bond name. The name is just James Bond. Here we go. Joe begins with e4. Already a very good move. We don't have to wait long to get the action banging here. 16T responds with pawn to f5. A very strong move. All right. Joe plays d3. That's fine. You know, he spent a little bit of time on that move. d3 is an okay move. This is called the Duras Gambit. I'm not sure that Black knew that. I think Black just was learning how to move the pawns. Joe plays d3. Nice and defensive, he could have taken on f5, and if he had taken on f5, the diagonal to the king would have been wide open, so you've got to be very careful already as black. It's like very close to being checkmate. So, Joe plays defensively, black plays pawn takes, and is immediately lost. It took 3 moves. You know, chess is hard. But one thing you will learn as a beginner is how not to poop your pants within the first 10 moves. This is very, very important. I teach it in my book, and today's video is in fact sponsored by my book. It's back there, How to Win at Chess. It'll teach you everything to not get this type of position in the first 3 moves. The reason this is so bad is because now this check is completely lethal, and you should always look for checks.
6.7 million
sometimes they're
subs.
really good.
Proud of you, bro.
H5 just wins the game. Black goes here, queen e5, bishop c4, and there's checkmate on the horizon. Here's checkmate right away. But also there is g6, queen e5, and you would simply pick up a rook. So you need to always be able to look for checks. That's why you don't want to open up your king
Yeah.
early in the game.
Okay, we're gonna do that later. Guardian class was. Ooh. Okay, let's start. I don't even need bags anymore. Oh, God damn it. The fuck is your goddamn problem? Hold on, y'all. That's what happened last time, so. $20.62, $28.62.
Joe is a principled man, plays knight f3. Developing his knight like he knows he should. Knight f6 develops both knights. Knights before bishops. I love this by Mr. Joseph. What an absolute beast. Playing like a grandmaster, true to his name. And now black, of course, should mirror image. Develop your knights first, but instead black, very active, throws yet another pawn into the center of the board. This is simply a counting mistake. All beginners watching this can improve this one skill. Counting is the skill in chess when you count the amount of pieces that can capture on a square. Or a piece, right? Square or a piece. So this is 1, and there's 0 for black. So that's why black should have went d6 or this, gotten a piece to look at another piece. Another good way to improve a chess, think of your pieces as having eyeballs, vision, all right? This sees that, and this sees that. So it is not a good trade, but damn it, Joseph is a man of principle, and in the opening we tell beginners not to make multiple moves with pieces that they've already gotten out, so he moves his bishop. He moves his bishop because he knows he's supposed to develop his pieces. All right? Unfortunately, what it does for black is that it leaves black with 2 center pawns, and now black captures on e4. Now, every time a pawn moves in chess, or any piece, you got to think about what opens up, what things now see things they didn't see before. The queen has vision across the board. You could go take, knight takes, and threaten a fork. But instead of that, sadly, Joe here falls for the common beginner mistake of having tunnel vision, and he takes the pawn that just landed on that square. Yet again, a counting mistake. Black has 2 things that can see that pawn. You only have 1. And so after d takes e4, knight takes e4, Joe realizes, uh-oh, I just lost the knight. And that is very common. That is a beginner mistake that is quite avoidable, and hopefully does not happen again. He saw the pawn, he took it back, and he went, damn it, I lost my knight. But now he castles. And now, black finds a really nice tactical idea here. Considering that black just moved the knight, black completely forgets that they have any other pieces, and they continue to move the knight forward, losing it in 1 move completely. That move hangs a knight at no questions asked. So this is one thing you should avoid as a beginner. You should avoid moving a piece and then thinking you have to move it again. That is literally not the law at all. I don't know why you all think that way. You have other pieces, and you've got to stop violating principles. Knight c3 played. Now, this is a bad move because you can just be taken. Joe goes here though. I don't understand. It's standing on the same line as the queen. The knight can now take the bishop. Black here, because they are up a knight, because they took the knight, should trade pieces. They should trade the queen, they should trade the bishop, and then they gotta get the king to safety, because in chess, you need material and king safety, and you need to stop playing chess like it's Russian roulette. I mean, you're basically like spinning the chess pieces around, and maybe some of them will fall off the table. Black here plays a move that's so high level I can't even begin to understand it. White moves the queen to attack the knight that could have been taken. Black plays bishop b4! Defending knight from the queen taking it, but not from the pawn. The pawn can still absolutely take. And Joe...
Hold on a second.
Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, he was a giant in the spirit, a man of righteousness, a man who stood for Jesus Christ boldly when it cost him everything. And he was martyred on the 10th of September 2025, and it was the event that shocked the world, right? It was a gunshot that was heard across the nation, pretty much. We have access to it on social media, and so it was a pretty tragic event, and so what it looked like, at the moment it might appear as though the enemy is victorious, but he is not. God will always use what the enemy meant for evil for.
Is your Minecraft world missing those sweet, charming builds that bring your world to life? Well, look no further, because I've clumped together 35 plus of my favorite creations into one compilation, which will hopefully inspire you. Let's get
Now, if you don't know who Charlie Kirk is, he was a giant in the spirit, a man of righteousness, a man who stood...
Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you one of the most hilarious cheating stories that I have ever seen. Many people choose to cheat at chess because for some reason it makes you feel intellectually dominant. It's somehow even better than cheating on an exam in college or something along those lines. And today I've got an incredible story. This story begins with a person that could not improve at chess past the level of 700. I went back and I looked at this individual's games. They were not getting better at 700 ELO, which is very common. But it's actually not that hard to get better at 700 ELO. It just takes a lot of practice. And then this person started cheating. And this person would cheat in different ways. They would log in for a week, they would cheat for 20 games in a row, and then they would log out. And somehow they would escape getting banned because they weren't logging in every day. I don't know what happened, but I'm going to share it with you because this is super funny stuff. There is everything in this video. They lose to a cheater at some point. Then they, I'm not even gonna spoil it. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I cover a lot of different chess stuff, and one of the chess stuff that I cover is people cheating. Right? People cheating. So, how do you know somebody's cheating? Very high move accuracy, consistent use of time, massive win rate, etc. So, first I'm going to show you how our cheater played before they started cheating, and then after showing you a couple of those games, we're going to look at the beginning of their cheating career, how they grew by some 1,000 rating points, and yeah, all of the incredible stuff in between. So keep in mind, this person was rated about 700, okay? This is the first game that I saw our cheater play. Our cheater used to play pawn to d5. In fact, this person really enjoyed creating a little trident of pawns. Cheater used to play pawn to e6 and f5 in literally every single game. So I don't really insult people or make fun of their intelligence when they play chess. I make fun of the moves and I'm theatrical. But if you cheat, oh, I'm going to be ruthless. So this person used to play this kind of trident chess opening. And it's not very good because it just loses a pawn, right? So, you know, white being 700 developed a knight and a queen. Not the best way to play chess, but it's life. Black plays f5 and loses the pawn in the center, and then doesn't even take it back. So, takes, and then goes here, losing yet another pawn. So this is, you know, down 2 pawns in the first 7 moves. That's not good. That is what happens when you aren't cheating at chess. And then proceeds to make it even worse by attacking.
No, pause the goddamn thing. Oh, I know. I'll be right back. Like, comment, subscribe.